Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Last night's second half, I shared with you that I had an upload today with video evidence and undeniable truths, which I'm going to share with you today. Also, I have some horrifying encounters. But before we get into all that, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. The merch is displayed directly under that video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost a cent. Click that like button. It takes half a second. If you don't want to miss any of the informative and exciting uploads I put out twice daily, click that bell icon. And finally, last but definitely not least, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all these things, they really do help this channel to continue to grow and go, and they definitely matter. And with that, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with today's upload, shall we? All right, so what we'll do is we'll start today's upload with one or two terrifying encounters, jump into the video evidence and undeniable truths, and then a couple more encounters. So this is today's first encounter. I'd like to bring up the mysterious black dog. It's often seen in the United States, but a lot over in Europe, especially in England. The tale is that if you see the black dog more than 3 times, you will meet an untimely death. I've known a little bit about this phenomena. I'm not exactly sure if it is an animal or something like the Dogman or a Hound of Hell. Anyway, I have an experience to share from a family member who had some strange things happen. This family member, we'll call him Joel, was a young man, about 18. This was back in the early 80s. He was still in high school and was hanging out with a few friends, searching his friend's attic, when they came across 2 very old books. One, the Book of Shadows, the other, the Satanic Bible. Joel and his friends took the books back to Joel's house, and one Friday night, while they were getting high and drinking, out of one of those books, they summoned a demon using a large, hand-drawn pentagram. This certain spell in the book was a spell to come across treasures and riches throughout your life. After the spell, Joel said that he felt something weird but shrugged it off and continued his daily life, such as going to school. He would walk from school to school from his very nice home with a wooded backyard in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania. So after the spell, Joel was walking home from school a few days later to his home, which was on a dead-end road, and he came close to the front of his house and noticed a very large black dog sitting by his front door, just staring at him. He said it wouldn't take his eyes off of him. Whenever he moved, the dog's head would follow. Joel, being startled by this, ran around the side of the house through the back door that led into the kitchen. He closed the door behind him and called for his dog, Prince. Now, Prince was a big, strong shepherd mix and would fight other dogs and usually win. Joel called Prince and didn't get an answer. He eventually found Prince cowering under the kitchen table, frightened. Joel, creeped out by all of this, went and peeked out of the front door window, and the black dog was still there, staring right up at him. Joel was a pretty tough guy. Not much really scared him, but something about this dog gave him chills, and he thought this could be related to the spell we did. Anyway, after some time, the dog eventually vanished from his front doorstep, and Joel continued his daily life. And a week from then, was having a party at his house when everyone was smoking and drinking. During this, Joel's friend was in the bathroom, so Joel went out onto the back porch, where there was now a row of bushes and you could pee. Let me add that it's very dark and late. Joel unzips and starts to relieve himself. He looks down and there, the same black dog staring up at him, silently, looking right into Joel's eyes. Joel said he was horrified and zipped up and ran back inside. So after this, Joel was absolutely terrified, thinking, what had he actually done during this spell? He was sure this thing was an intelligent creature that wanted to talk with him. Joel didn't want to have a chat with it, so he got the 2 books together the next day and slid them down a storm drain up the street from him. He could clearly see the books lying down in the drain when he had left them. Joel continued his normal life when, all of a sudden, a few days later, he got the urge to go and get the books back. He didn't know why the urge was so strong, but he went back with his backpack to go and retrieve these books. He had bent down when no one was looking, and he said they had vanished. They were nowhere to be seen. Kind of puzzled, he went back home and continued his daily life again. And a week later was cutting his neighbor's grass while his neighbor watched on the front porch. And he said while he was pushing the mower, he noticed the black dog running towards him, and it jumped right for his throat. But at that instant, it was going to bite at him. A large white dog jumped up and rammed into the black dog. Joel fell over and got up puzzled, like WTF just happened. He stopped mowing and went up to the neighbor and said, "Did you just see that?" His neighbor said, "I saw you fall down." He apparently didn't see what Joe saw. Joel spotted this mysterious dog 3 times and was convinced that it was a demon in disguise as a dog to come make some type of deal with him. He was sure it was summoned from the spell that was done either out of the Book of Shadows or the Satanic Bible. Joel lived up till he was 52, had quite a hard life, but was a great person, and got one huge settlement for a back injury, but never found some giant treasure or fortune. Joel was also convinced that the white dog on the 3rd sighting was some type of angel dog in form that fended off the black dog / demon from stealing his soul. You know, I'm wondering if there is some sort of, I guess, connection with, because I just randomly grabbed a stack of encounters off of my desk, brought them downstairs to the studio down here to share because it's cooler down here, even though the ACs are on upstairs. But once again, Brad's angelic encounter, the monk, which I did reach out to, and I cannot wait to have him on. And now this, an angelic white dog battling a black demon dog, or Dogman. Maybe it was 2 dogmen. Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, let's get into tonight's second encounter. Tonight's second encounter. This happened a couple of years ago. At the time I was 17 years old. Myself and 3 friends had been camping in a cabin in the North Carolina mountains. We were celebrating the end of our junior year of high school. It was just us 4. On the first night we had got there, we heard these strange noises from outside of the cabin at about 1 a.m. I didn't want to look outside to see what it was, but my friend did and said they couldn't see anything, so I looked out and didn't see anything either. The next morning we go outside and see some strange footprints outside. They were large, and I've never seen them before or after, and hope I never see them again. Fast forward to the night. We decide to go outside and have a campfire. Now, mind you, we're 17, 18-year-old kids, joking, laughing, having fun, enjoying the summer. All of a sudden, we hear a growl from the woods. The shrubbery and brush around us start to move like there is wind, even though there is no wind. I look behind and I see two amber-colored eyes staring. I turn to my friend and ask if he sees it also. He is pale and asks me, "What the hell is that thing?" I respond, "I don't know, but it's massive and I don't want to find out." We run back to the cabin and go in and tell everyone about what we had just seen. Of course, they don't believe us, and then they look outside. There it is, standing about 9.5 feet tall, grayish black fur, very muscular, with massive claws and its fangs bared. So we run around inside, shutting and locking all of the windows and doors. We tried to forget about the thing, and later that night I went to bed. I happened to look out my window, and there it was, staring directly at me. Needless to say, I got no sleep that night. The next day we packed up and left, not wanting to spend another night in those woods. This has been the first time I've ever shared this experience because I didn't think anyone was going to believe me. And to this day, that image of that creature staring at me through that window in that cabin still haunts my dreams. So, I wonder if, and this is just I guess an opinionated question. So I had my encounter when I was 17 years old. And just recently, excuse me, about a week ago, saw something that I caught on video. I'm not going to say it was a Dogman, Bigfoot. I don't know. It could have been a bear for all I know. But it did not move like a bear. And I've read the comment sections of the folks that seen the video. And the majority of them agree with me on that. I know the instant I saw it, I was terrified. It sent just a fear. So I wonder if having an experience at an earlier age in life has more of a traumatic effect than a person that has it later in life. I know that my experience really formed kind of the person I am today, about beliefs and believing others and opinions and stuff about the paranormal, cryptozoology and other things like that. I'm not sure. Once again, it's just an opinionated question, and I'd have to say for me, I'm kind of glad that I had my experience at a young age rather than now, because it's given me multiple years to really think about what I experienced that night with my friends. Yeah, definitely. Why don't you guys just think about that a little bit and see what you come up with? Those of you who have had experiences at an earlier age or later age, I think that's a pretty valid kind of question. So. That video clip has been shared on every Cryptid, Dogman, Bigfoot YouTube channel, TikTok. I shared it actually, and I said in a video a couple days ago that I think it's a guy with a mask on. Any kind of video like that, I always say, you guys decide. I never put actual, this is a real dog man. This is not. And the video actually that was shown was edited a little bit. It was kind of darkened to make it look like it was older than what it was. It's almost as similar to a couple years ago or about a year ago, I shared the Instagram of a special effects artist, I believe he's in Argentina, who had created that Dogman that was dying on a table. And then on like a floor or something, people said like it was found in Mexico, hit by a tractor trailer. The Mexican government shot it. A bunch of BS behind it. I shared the Instagram post, said, here, guys, this is the real deal. This is not real. This is where it came from. It goes along with this, and this is what's wrong with our community. Here we are, already looked at like we are not normal, not right in the head, and then videos like this, or AI generated videos of a Dogman, if you want to call that a Dogman, hopping through the woods with some kind of Department of Homeland Security circles all over the thing in white, saying this is actual drone footage of a Dogman. Who shared this? The real world, the world out there that does not believe these creatures exist, look at us like we're crazy. We of those who have had encounters know that these exist. The people that know they exist just because they have like a feeling that, it's not, we are not the only sentient creature out there. Sentient creature out there. Sorry, I get frazzled when this stuff, because it hurts our community. I have other video clips that this was actually created by I'm going to share it with you. The guy's name is, and I will put in photo, I will provide the ample evidence and proof like I always do, because I don't lie. I don't create stories. Never had. Elias Hernandez, bittersweet moment. So years ago, I was filming a horror film with a friend, and the footage I had posted on my YouTube channel was behind the scenes stuff. And, well, today on Instagram, I see myself in a werewolf costume on a cryptozoology Instagram page as a Dogman sighting, laughing emoji. So first of all, I'm honored that people believe that it was real, but secondly, I am pretty upset that they took the video and did not credit us. I've contacted them, and hopefully they give us credit now. The original video clip was posted 5 years ago. The film is back into production, and I hope fans of the video will want to watch it. As creators, it doesn't hurt us, our clip being taken without giving credit. We hope that fans will want to see the video. Please see our film, yada, yada. I will put their YouTube channel in the description below. It's a small YouTube channel. These guys are, they are creators. They're creating a short horror film about a werewolf Dogman. I'll also share the video clip without any kind of sound, because I don't want to get hit with a copyright infringement or copyright strike, or because there's cursing in it. I don't want to get it taken down. Anyway, these are things that are ruining our community. I'm almost tempted to be like, well, maybe it's some outside source doing this to, really cause the conflict in the community, cause the kind of question everything, if you know what I mean, what I'm trying to say. But then there's still these channels out there that create, stories about 5 million park rangers telling stuff when they have to sign a non-disclosure not to share. And how many park rangers are sharing today? Not many. I think I've had probably 2 or 3, if that. No, 2 or 3. About 3, maybe 4. But they were so careful and not didn't even want me to share locations. One guy did, but he didn't care. He was fed up. Guy in Virginia, Smith County, Virginia, to be exact. It's more or less done for views. Let's get that money. Let's get these views. Let's get famous. Who cares? I just want the truth. I want the truth. I want you guys to have the truth because you guys are like me. You just want the truth. That's why I spend hours upon hours upon hours of researching these animal attacks. I don't create animal attacks. You know, I don't look through the internet and be like, oh, a bunch of dogs attack a dude in Alabama. Oh, the cops are on the scene. There's people that are seeing it happen. But you know what? It's a Dogman attack. I present to you the facts, like the Border Patrol agent. Time does not lie. Dates do not lie. Unfortunately, we are being deceived, and it hurts the community, and it sucks. It really does. Anyway, link will be in the description. I know you guys know this video because when it was shared, they darkened it a little bit, made it look a little older, and kind of blurred it a little. I almost was tempted to do it just to show, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to leave it as is, guys. So here's the Facebook post from Elias Hernandez photos, and then the videos of his short film that he was creating. YouTube link will be in the description below. Guys, this is what's hurting our community. We need to take, not him, not what he was doing, but the people that do this kind of stuff. We need to take that and push it away and only deal with the truth, the real deal. Here's the evidence. Here's the real deal. All right, so normally after showing video clips like that, I say you guys decide, but you know what? There's no deciding. The truth is the truth. And the proof is the proof. Tonight's third encounter. I've had 2 encounters, actually 3, but I only want to share 2. This is the description of my very first one, the most frightening one. It happened the summer of 2015. My then girlfriend and I had been enjoying the summer. We had a few days off from work, and it was the last night of our vacation. We wanted to go and enjoy a romantic night about a 20-mile trip from our hometown. A pretty valley with a very clear and cold river, some small islands located in the river with a bit of brush and some small trees on them. The river's shallow enough that you can wade through. It isn't well known amongst tourists, so it's a great spot for couples activities. We love to go skinny dipping there. Well, that's what we had planned, and sadly, it went a bit different than we wanted. The first half went great, actually. We found a nice spot, set up camp, laid some blankets out, and lit some candles, and then went skinny dipping. We got tired and decided to call it a night and wrapped ourselves in blankets. That's when the strangeness started. All the while we were there were animals all around, and we heard them: deer calls, fox, owl, the typical noises of the night. Until they stopped, and then nothing. Just the murmur of the river running over rocks. That's when we heard it the first time. It was a howl, but no wolf. It was deep, growling, earth-shaking, and it felt like it rattled every bone in my body. It was just terrifying. My girlfriend was shaking, as I was. I'd been outdoors my entire life, grew up on my parents' farm, and the woods surrounding it. So I'm pretty familiar with all of the animals that roam them. I know deer calls, I know what fox sound like, and the howl of wolves and the roar of a bear. But this... no, I had never heard anything like this. And I hope never to. We suddenly decide that my bed at my house is much better location to sleep than next to this riverbed. We pack our stuff and start heading out. That's when we heard it a second time. Same howl, deep, rumbling, shaking, followed by a deep growl. Whatever it was that had made this noise was huge, and we didn't want to see it, unfortunately. We were still 2 miles from my car. We had to cross the river twice to get to the riverbank, to where the trail to the woods to my car started. When we crossed, we thought we saw and heard something cross the river with us. I had a small flashlight with me. When we got across that river, and I shone it back while we stood on the bank. What we saw made our knees shake and weak. A huge creature standing on the opposite riverbank, dark fur, pointed ears, very muscular body, the head resembling that of a wolf or a German shepherd. The most fear-inducing part of it was the eyes, this orangish, yellowish, red hell glow, seemingly fixed on us. We ran all the way back to my car. We could hear it charging through the river, but it must have stopped when it hit the bank. As we didn't hear it anymore right after we entered those woods. We made it back to the car safely and decided never to go there again, at least not at night. But the fact is, I haven't gone there at all. My second experience, I had a very creepy experience on my way to work this morning. On my way to work, I often use a small road through a densely wooded area. It's pretty long, pretty straight. I left home at 4:30 this morning and driving, minding my business, and slowly waking up, when suddenly I noticed what I thought was a very large, dark gray or black dog sitting next to the road. It was still pretty dark and I couldn't make it out in full detail, so I slowed down just in case it tried to run across the road. But when I got closer and the headlights captured it in full, it just stood up and calmly retreated into the brush next to the road. But as soon as it stood up, it was very clear that this was no normal dog. It was huge, bear-sized at least, or even bigger. Shorter hind legs, very muscular front. Weirdly long snout and pointed ears, a bushy tail. It walked almost like it was some sort of hyena, always on all fours. The big predators are very rare in this area, and if there is a sighting, about every few years. It's a lone wolf or something very rare, like a rare bear wandering through. This stretch of road has always given me the creeps, but now the fear is a face. One thing I had noticed is the last few days was that there was no other animals on that road. Normally there's always some sort of deer or fox or coyote or something. If I get lucky, even a badger, but this week, none, not even a bird. There's also been some reports of missing livestock in the area. 2 sheep went missing last week, and yesterday a horse was lost. It was later found brutally ripped apart and partially consumed. I don't know if the unknown canine creature is responsible for this, but I truly, highly suspect it. Tonight's 4th encounter. This happened a while back. I was 12. My family and I went camping in a cabin by the Porcupine Mountains in the Upper Peninsula. We arrived in the evening and my parents started to unpack everything, and as a curious kid I wandered off, but not too far. I was collecting rocks and sticks and other things. I was playing on a hill behind the cabin, and as the sun started to set, I saw an owl in a tree a couple yards away. As I was getting closer to take a look, I heard a low growl and froze. I thought it may have been a cougar or coyote, or possibly a wolf. I took a look around and didn't see anything. Seconds later, I hear my mom call my name, and I got brave enough to run as fast as I could down the hill and into her arms. I told her what happened, and she just shrugged it off. Shortly after, we ate hot dogs and went to sleep in the cabin. My parents got the bedroom, and my aunt did too. So I decided to sleep on the couch that night. As I'm trying to sleep, it started to rain, but that wasn't the only thing I heard. There was tapping or scratching of some sort on the window by the kitchen. I was a pretty brave kid, so I went to check it out and looked out the window and saw what I thought was a bear, dog, wolf, who knows. It quickly ran off. I could have sworn it was standing, but when it disappeared into the woods, that's not all. When I went back to lay down in fear, I heard a scream, but I thought it could have been a fox, maybe. Who knows? So the fox was screaming because it got killed by the Dogman? Who knows? It's a pretty chilling encounter. That brings me back to that opinionated question. How much did that affect a 12-year-old? I mean, I've heard there was once an encounter, young man, 10, 11 years old. He was camping with his mom and dad, they were at their parents' friend's house or parents' friend's camp or something like that, up in the mountains somewhere. The kid was playing with Thundercats. That I'll remember, because Thundercat action figures were pretty cool. And he was playing with his Thundercats, and he saw a Dogman standing. Just, he's playing on rocks with his action figures. Probably, I used to build foxholes for my G.I. Joe figures when I was a kid, so I was pretty creative. And he was probably doing the same thing. I thought I was creative, but most kids do that kind of stuff. And no more than 30 feet or so, this Dogman standing bipedally looking at him, growling. And he did the same thing. Ran back to the arms of his mom. Man, I'm still glad that I had my encounter at the age of 17. I don't think I'd like it too much if I was 12 or younger. Anyway, this is probably one of the interesting encounters. I haven't shared this in a while, but I just like it because it reminds me of the young man who went missing in the Georgia forest, and he was a surveyor. Christopher Tompkins went missing in Georgia, surveyor. And this story has always kind of reminded me of it, because it's almost like it kind of validates my theory on what happened to him. Because that's all it is. It's a theory, we can't see, it's only speculation. This incident happened in the late summer of 2018. It was in the mountains of North Georgia. I'm a surveyor with 20 years of experience in Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, and South and North Carolina. I'm extremely comfortable in the woods as I spent much of my time outdoors, most of the time being very far back in the forest. And a great deal of it is in the national forest, where you don't see anyone for days at a time. On this day it happened. I was surveying a piece of property around a small core of Engineer Lake, bordered by a large tract of national forest. I was operating a robotic survey total station transit, which means you don't have a partner to run a survey crew. Instead of having 2 or 3 people on the crew, it's just you. The property is fairly large, maybe 500 acres, up mostly steep mountains and howls covered in dense mountain laurel. I just finished cutting a traverse along a property line to the top of the ridge, roughly 350 to 400 feet away with my machete. Traverse lines are typically 5 feet wide and cut as close to the ground as possible to ensure a line of sight for the instrument. I just walked down that slope. I was ready to traverse to the top of the ridge when I noticed someone or something hairy wearing what I originally thought was a hat slowly walking across the opening that I had just made minutes earlier and stopped to look at me. It had a large hand reaching out to grab its tree limb it was next to. At the time, I thought someone must be walking or hiking on that top of the ridge. That's not too uncommon to see people time to time, but then I realized it's way too hot to be wearing a large, shaggy brown jacket. It was high 90s. And as it stared down the hill, I could make out pointed ears on top of its head, which I initially thought was a hat, and a long snout. Then it slowly walked out of sight. At this point, I took out my headphones and started paying closer attention to the situation. As I took my headphones out of my ears, I realized it was dead silent in the woods, and Georgia during the summertime is always noisy with insects. I waited a few minutes and walked to the top of the ridge to grab my equipment that I seriously considered leaving to see what was going on and noticed disturbed vegetation leading in the direction of what I saw walking. Thinking harder about what had happened, I realized that the lower limb of the tree I saw it walk behind was at least 6 feet tall, maybe a little taller. And what I originally thought was a jacket was actually fur. That's when it all set in and I got scared. I could hear something moving a short distance coming from the area it had walked to. I decided to start making the 45 to 50-minute walk back to my truck. I could hear movement on the top of that ridge, parallel and above me during the walk back. I didn't think it was moving in reaction to me necessarily, although I wasn't willing to wait around and find out. I made it back to the truck, and since I've only told 2 folks about my experience, that was pretty much as far as it got, you know. I know it wasn't a bear, and I've seen them many times. I've definitely been in the deep woods and on several occasions experienced all sounds and sights of life just disappear at the drop of a hat. This takes on a new significance. I carry a pistol every day, and on some occasions a short rifle when the job calls due to bear, wild dog, finding illegal pot growing operations, but I can definitely say it brought me zero comfort that day. I was scared to my core and have a new sense of respect for the woods. I would advise that if you work alone in the woods, pay attention to your surroundings. I think a lot about what might have happened hadn't I looked up that ridge. Or if I had been a little slower walking back down, as I was probably very close to it with my back turned, walking downhill with my headphones in, listening to Joe Rogan. If it wanted me, I wouldn't be here today. I firmly believe that. It was mere yards from me. People go missing all the time in the woods and are never seen again. I believe I know what it takes. I believe I know what takes some of them as I've seen it, whether you believe me or not. That's no coincidence or no consequence to me. But it took me a long time to feel comfortable telling anyone about this experience. If it helps one person pay attention in the woods, I am happy to be called crazy over it. Stay safe. Please watch your kids while in the woods. God bless. Yeah, I mean, you know what? The guy's absolutely right. He may be called crazy by people who don't believe, but then those people that don't believe may hear his experience and be like, wait, that's a surveyor. You know, he's trusted with $1 million equipment, doing this, doing that, you know, a high position. Maybe we should listen to him a little bit. You know, unfortunately, that social standing counts, you know, and that's always bothered me because, you know, in this community, people are more apt to believe a person in law enforcement or military than a farmer. You know, cops lie. They lie as they lie as part of their job. Yet, we'll believe them over a farmer. You know, I believe everyone. I don't believe everyone. I can't say that. I give everyone the opportunity to share, whether I believe them or not. But I think that it's crazy that the community will believe a military or police officer, or, you know, even if they're not, they say they are, over a farmer. It's just weird to me. Anyway, guys, I love this community. I love you all. You know, I really do. I hope everyone remains safe and never sees any of these creatures that we talk about here. But unfortunately, people do. And until the government says, hey, there's dogmen out there, or Bigfoot, or werewolves, or this and that, I'll still keep talking about this, and I'll still bring the truth. Whether it be debunking a video or whatever, or sharing experiences, or debunking news articles saying a dog attacked, but when it has no bearing on that case. How about that video, though? Video evidence, undeniable truths. Guys, stay safe, happy, and healthy. I'll see you all a little bit later with today's bonus. Then we have a second half, and then it is Saturday. Saturday night live stream. Saturday Nightmare live stream with Jeff Nadolny. Somewhere between 11 and 12 p.m.